Porch Party, so we should be streaming.
Okay, we're now live.
Fantastic. Hi, everyone. Happy Global Pride. On behalf of Cincinnati Bell, CBTS, Onyx, and Hawaiian Telecom, I want to welcome you. My name is Roger Hempshaw. I'll be the host, along with my partner in crime, Michelle Hall. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, happy Pride, everyone, all the way from Alaska.
Calling from Alaska. So this is global, and Michelle's in Alaska. I'm in the Great White North in Toronto. It's a hot and sunny day here. And we have folks from all over the US and a few from Canada. So really excited to be here today. Also want to welcome our Facebook friends. Cheers. Remember, it's Porch Party, let's have some fun. Cheers. As well as, I see Mr. Golden is on here somewhere. Give us a thumbs up, Mr. Golden. He's our team mascot. We're very proud of him.
Ah.
Mr. Golden right here. He can't talk because he's a mascot, but I'll be speaking for him. He's super excited to be here to celebrate Global Pride with everyone.
Thanks for stepping up, Mr.
Thanks
Golden.
for coming out.
Yeah. Cool. So
Absolutely.
we have an awesome lineup today, and we want to give a few introductions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the horn and just give some quick introductions. Michelle and I will kick things off. And then we'll open up for discussion around the one. But want to start with Lee. Want to give you a quick introduction and just say hello. Lee is our president and CEO. Lee, you just want to unmute yourself and give a quick shout out. Holla back.
There you go. Hi everyone. Lee Fox. I'm the president and CEO. Glad to be here. Cheers to everyone. I guess I'm speaking later, but so glad to be involved.
Yeah, awesome. Yep, Christy Cornett, our Chief Cultural Officer. Want to welcome, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to see everybody. And let's get the party started.
I'm next on my list is Tom Simpson, is our Chief Operating Officer. Hey, Tom.
Hey there. Hey, everybody. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, welcome. Andy Keyes is our Chief Financial Officer.
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Pride.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Kevin Murray is our CIO. Kevin, welcome.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
A couple of the other speakers, Katie Myers who is the Unity Policy Program Manager. Nice, easy title. We got to get her a 3-letter acronym somehow.
Thanks, Roger. Good afternoon. Happy Pride all.
Happy Pride. Love your Porch. It looks rather grand. And Tangi Edmondson, Tech Support Lead for Cincinnati Bell. Tangi, hey, Paula.
Happy Pride, hey. Hey, Tangi. Happy Pride.
Yeah. Cool. So I thought we'd start things off just with the general conversation. Michelle and I have been talking, preparing for this. Is the origins of the Pride ERG. Shout out to the executives. We really started the ERGs about 2 years ago, and when they originally started, there were about half a dozen, I believe, Christy, somewhere in that number, and there wasn't a Pride ERG. At the time, it kind of stood out. I noticed it, but I'll be honest, I had reservations in putting my hand up, stepping forward, and to some degree, I felt exposed. And, to be honest, Michelle Hall had the courage to step up. And as soon as she did, that gave us the courage to come forward. And I'll hand this off to Michelle in a minute, but I do want to give my compliments to the executives, to our allies, to those part of the Pride ERG. I've always been out at work. I've never hidden it. I've never hidden it in my life. Once I did come out, I came all the way out like a glitter ball, roaring through the sky. At the same time, there's a difference between being supported at work and being celebrated. And you're going to hear from some of our speakers, particularly those who, this is our lived reality. Being gay in a technology company, has had some challenges in the past, but as I said, I've always felt supported. But I absolutely feel celebrated, and I know many on this call will say the same. And it has affected me personally and professionally in my ability. And we use that phrase of bring your full self to work. But what that means to me is knowing that I have a shield, an umbrella. I have top executives that have a voice and are telling me that I have the ability and the power to bring my full self to work. So I wanted to say that, and I also want to give a full shout out to Michelle. Cheers to again having the courage and stepping forward. It has been an awesome 2-year journey. I've made some fantastic friends along the way, and I count Michelle among the close subjects.
Well,
Michelle, I didn't tear you up.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Roger. It certainly wasn't just me. It was a whole host of people. So I was thinking about today and excited for this celebration, even though I'm not directly in the vicinity of everybody. And to me, this isn't really just a celebration. It's also kind of a reflection of where we've been and how far we've come. And if I think of, we basically have the entire executive team on here, which, I don't know that I would have said that would have been possible, several years ago. So I can't echo your comments enough just for the thank yous for the executive team. It feels to me like we've really started to make an impact on the company in a significant way. So, I know for me personally, when I was a kid, I always felt different. I always felt insecure and judged and worried about who I was. And I think that really took me really through into my career, in meetings and in different arenas where, I might have had something great to say and I might have had a great perspective, but I always felt too nervous or too worried I was going to be judged to say something. And it really was not until we started this ERG where I started recognizing that we all have our own unique gifts and talents, and we have got to bring them. We've got to bring our full selves into the office, into our work, and into our lives, because that's really what makes a difference, and that's really what matters. And I think a lot of that is because of this team that's assembled here today and the incredible allies I have. I'll just tell you, I feel like in the last year and a half through this journey, one of the biggest things that I've really recognized is that we're helping a lot of families. We are helping a lot of parents. We are helping a lot of, kids, and having those conversations. Sometimes they're hard conversations, but they're conversations. and they're important. So, happy to be here today. Really happy everybody's on the call. Want to welcome all of our Facebook friends that are joining us today. Couldn't be more excited to be here and celebrate Pride with everybody.
Yeah, awesome. So we're going to have open conversation with a few folks. We're going to start with Katie Meyer, then Kevin and Andy. We're going to tag team you guys up. Christy, Michelle will introduce Christy. I'll introduce Tanji, Tom Simpson. Michelle will introduce, as well as Lee Fox. So we'll get started. Katie, if you want to unmute yourself with your loud birds in behind.
Yeah, it's true. We're live. I'm in a real neighborhood. Anything could happen. But I want to start off by saying around the world we canceled Pride celebrations this June, and that was disappointing. But at the same time, in the United States, we had one of the most monumentous Supreme Court rulings for our community that we've ever had. On June 15th, the case Bostock versus Clayton County went through the Supreme Court, and they ruled that it was illegal to fire somebody from their job based on their sexual orientation or gender identity alone. And that's a really big deal. A lot of folks maybe thought that was already in place. We have protections like this, the LGBT community, in some businesses and institutions in some cities and some states, but we don't in most of them. And so, until June 15th, it was perfectly legal to fire somebody just because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. And I've been working with NKY Pride for several years, Northern Kentucky, and we're, just across the river from Cincinnati, and in Kentucky and in Ohio and in Indiana, we don't have these sorts of protections. So we work on them at the local level. And through Northern Kentucky Pride, we had fairness ordinances pass this past year in Dayton, Kentucky, and Highland Heights and Newport and Bellevue. It's been incredible. And the thing about fairness ordinances is that they extend protections beyond employment to housing and public accommodation. And so I think based on this ruling, we're going to start to see that at a federal level. That's the hope, at least. I think most of the LGBT community is optimistic about that. I mean, it was Gorsuch's ruling, and it was very textual, and so that's on our side. But today, I could go to Park Hills, which is the city right south of where I am, and apply to rent a house or to buy a house, and they could say, like, no gays allowed. And it would be perfectly legal. Now, obviously, I don't want to be there either. But I think it's important to say that there's a lot of work to do. But this was one of the best gifts we could have been given for in the United States, given that we had to give up our Pride celebrations. This is a Pride celebration, but it's not quite as big as some of the other ones. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and say that that's part of it. That's the policies, but there's also the culture part. And, culture is that visibility and education and understanding the celebration that Roger was talking about. And, I've only been at Cincinnati Bell for about 18 months, and that culture and celebration was really important for me as I was making my decision to transition my career. Just a little story, before I started, I sat down with John Putnam, who would become my boss, and at Braxton Brewery in Covington, and I said, listen, I am who I am. I have piercings, I have tattoos, I shave my head sometimes, and I'm married to a woman. Is that going to be a problem? And he said no. And that's really important, because that would have been a deal breaker for me. But I knew coming into it that it was going to be a different environment for me. And the Pride ERG just has been the biggest gift to me in my work at Cincinnati Bell. Michelle has been like a mentor and a friend. Now I'm going to get choked up. This is supposed to be fun. Here's my rosé. I've just loved seeing how much commitment there was to it. One of my favorite moments was when I walked into the atrium and I saw Jason Prater sitting there, this tough guy, bourbon drinking, hard driving guy with rainbow flags all over his window. And I was like, yes. I went to every floor and I took photos and I sent them to my wife, and I was just like, this is really incredible. So, it's I could talk forever, and I shouldn't. I'm not allowed. But it's an honor to work for Cincinnati Bell, and I'm incredibly grateful for the Pride ERG.
Thank you so much. You know, I just want to correlate some of the importance of the legislation to. We had an awesome event yesterday with Katie's partner Bonnie, which was a teaching moment in a lot of ways, and we talked about inclusivity, terminology, vocabulary, pronouns. Really, Katie, thank you, and thank Bonnie. I'm sure you'll have a price to pay for that. But a lot of it, we talk about policy, and sometimes the most boring stuff can be the most important. And when legislation changes, that gives us all security. And just to correlate it back to what we were talking about with the executives is, you really do represent that policy. You represent that legislation for us as employees. And I just wanted to kind of connect some dots there from what Katie was saying, and that you never underestimate the power of your voice and what that means to us as employees. So I'll just keep choosing as I go along. So next up, we've got Kevin Murray and Andy Kaiser. Andy was our former and our inaugural executive sponsor for the Pride ERG, and Kevin is our current. So Andy, maybe you want to go first. Just talk a little bit about what that initial year was like, and I'm sure we drove you crazy, but wow.
No, not at all. First of all, I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me. So it's hard to believe it was almost 2 years ago that Michelle tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, how would you like to be the sponsor of Pride?" And my immediate reaction was, "I'd love to be the sponsor. I think that would be an incredible honor." And anybody that knows me knows that what you see is what you get. Ask me a simple question, and I'm going to be talking to you for probably the next 30, 45 minutes. And I'll tell you anything that you want to know about me, about my family. And I'm always telling stories. And so the idea that folks don't feel that way, don't feel that they can bring their entire selves to any situation, whether it's personal or professional or anywhere else, it's hard for me to imagine as the individual that I am. And so Michelle and I, when we first got together and talked, we both agreed, wow, if we can affect one person, if one person feels that they can bring their whole selves to Cincinnati Bell, I think we've been successful. If we can affect one life that way, that positively, man, that's more than I'll ever look back in my professional career. Probably shouldn't admit that, and say, wow, I'm so proud of that. What matters to me is that impact on a human being is what this is all about. That's what life is all about. We go to work every day to live. We don't live to work. At least I don't, and I hope everybody on this call has the same perspective. So for me to be able to be a part of something that could have that type of an impact, just a small part, just by saying, guys, listen, it's unacceptable to do anything other than treat everyone with the exact same level of respect, then we've had something pretty amazing here. So it was a fantastic year plus. Thrilled to be a part of it on a forever basis, and to see the landmark ruling come down was incredible. It's also, to me, incredible that it took this long to get there, and I think that's often what people forget. You think of the perspective that you have and you think, well, clearly we're there. And then you hear about this ruling, you say, holy shit, what? That just happened? So, Katie mentioned this, Roger, I think you mentioned it. Man, we've come a long way, and Michelle and I have talked a lot about that, but we still have a long way to go. Yet what just happened is a huge part of continuing the progress, but it's all about continuing the dialogue as well. So thank you so much, Michelle, for bringing me in, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Progress is being made.
Hopefully, that dialogue, continues into other areas of social justice. And Tangi's going to talk a little bit about bold and coming up a little bit. But Kevin, want to give you a platform to talk about. And this has been a little bit of an odd year. No parade for you, my friend. All you get is another WebEx. But we did want to hear your thoughts, and I will ask speakers, but I want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on the time. So.
Yeah. Well, Andy's difficult to follow in any situation, and Andy would never be accused of being brief, but he was actually pretty brief there. For those of you who know me, right around now I'd prefer to share a PowerPoint with you to share my feelings. Because I'm a pretty reserved individual, but I've worked with Michelle for a long time, and I love her, and I have a lot of respect for her. And Roger and I have known each other now a few months, and they've kind of pulled me out of my shell, and have helped me kind of understand what it is we want to try to do, how I can help them, how we can break down barriers in the company, how we can get the word out. And I told them early on, and I said it in my message last week, that my parents were pretty old school, but they are great people. And they had always told me, you always judge a person by their character, and that's it, and if they're good people, you gravitate to them, you trust them. If they're not, you don't. And you don't really look at anything else. That's how I kind of grew up. And at work, it's like I apply that filter. And then I also say, well, who is getting work done? Who's a great worker? Because I'm going to gravitate to them and give them more opportunity. I never think about anything other than that. And it's weird for me to process that people would have a lens on their vision that's other than that. But I realized it was a lot more complicated than that when Michelle brought in Karen Morgan from GE to speak to Lee and his management team. I think it was probably Q4 last year. And she talked about how they stood up their program inside of GE and how successful it had been. But beyond just going through the blocking and tackling of that, she described her own personal situation where she said, when I come in on a Monday morning and someone says, "What did you do this weekend?" I have to apply a filter to that. When I go to the mall with my girlfriend or wife, who's going to run into me? And why do I have to, what could happen from that? And I remember coming home that night and telling my wife that story and just being like, I never thought about it that way. Like, it's more complicated than just treating people, treating people by the quality of their characters is important and something I will take to my grave. But there's a lot on the other side, there's a lot of fear of what other people think. And I know I've been in that camp for other things, and it's a lot to carry around. And it's what I said at our kickoff event earlier this year. None of that stuff should matter. Like, I don't get why any of this matters. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It just should matter about how you are as a person and what you do and being able to bring your full self to work. It's really important. And I couldn't imagine coming into work on a Monday and be like, well, I can't share this. I can't share that. I can't talk about this. And then trying to be effective at work. That's a lot to juggle. And that's probably been the most eye-opening thing for me, and the thing that I have processed the most is that we need to encourage a culture. And Cincinnati Bell, I think, has done a phenomenal job, especially in the last 5 years, of really embracing that. I think we've always done a pretty good job, but we've really doubled down on it. It should be about the quality of the character and making sure that people feel comfortable just being who they are and not having to think about all these other dimensions. Well, I can't, and I think that to me has been, working with Michelle and Roger has been the most eye-opening thing for me. And, I just encourage that, and that's a message that I'll deliver to my team. And I just really appreciate all the help. As much as I'm the ERG sponsor, I've gotten 5X, I think, the help the other way from Michelle, Roger, other folks on understanding what it is we're trying to move forward here. So that's what I've got today, Roger. No PowerPoint, and I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah.
And Kevin, I just too want to say how much we've appreciated you being our executive sponsor. I mean, to me, you are somebody that, as a white guy, a manly man type of person, oftentimes people worry are going to judge people. And that couldn't obviously be further from the truth. You and I know ourselves pretty well, but I cannot tell you how impactful, even though we have not done as much stuff in the ERG this year because of, COVID, what an impact you've made being the executive sponsor. So I appreciate everything you've done for us. You've made an impact.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. I want to give a cheers to our current and former executive sponsors. Cheers. Ching, ching. Next up, Michelle, you're going to introduce Christy and have a quick.
Yeah, I would. Yep, I'd love to.
Origins.
Love to. Yep, absolutely. It's kind of a little different being on the being on the video, making sure that we're doing all the right stuff. But yes, I'd love to talk about about Christy. So Christy, we're excited that you're here. So I will just tell everybody, Christy has been a mentor to me, has been a model for me. She's obviously our chief culture officer, understands, you understand better than anybody else, diversity and inclusion, the importance of having a good culture, the importance of what our ERGs have meant, what it is to have to live through adversity because you have. And so I'm honored you're here. I'm thankful you're here. I appreciate it. I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing for our organization. So, would just love to hear from you where you see us. And I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge kind of where we are in society right now. I mean, obviously we're talking about pride, but the reality is this is about equality for all, and would love to hear from you, how we can do better, where we're at today, your hopes for our future. And with that said, I'll pass it off to you.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Thank you for those words, Michelle. And sorry if you hear a lawnmower outside. It's out of my control. You never know when they're coming. But yeah, we're really working through interesting times, and I'm so glad to be here on this very important day for all of us. But the ERGs have truly changed the face of our company, and they've changed our culture. And the reason why is you have a voice now. We're listening. Other employees are listening. You have recommendations that we take every single day. You have invoked change. I mean, would we have done this 10 years ago? I mean, I listened to the story, and the change that you have led is absolutely, it's absolutely amazing. And you have guided us all on a journey, all of the ERGs. We're with Pride today, but we've been on a journey, and I think it's been a really impactful journey. And Pride, you continue to lead initiatives around educating our employees and our leaders on how to be allies for the LGBTQ community. I mean, that's so important because that helps with the understanding. You've taken us through powerful discussions that folks that were in the room you didn't think would be impacted were impacted by. Understanding the importance of inclusion with Karen Morgan. And this week, you hosted another discussion with Bonnie Meyer, Director of the LGBTQ Programs and Services Department at Northern Kentucky University. And who could forget the mural, the post-it mural, and the national recognition that you all got from that idea? Absolutely amazing. When we saw the CNN post, I think we were all standing on our desk and cheering. I mean, just great. And, even though this year's celebration has been moved online, the support couldn't be greater. The Cincinnati Bell ERG, especially Pride, has done a phenomenal job creating meaningful ways to celebrate the global Pride Month. And this is where I'm going to get a little emotional, folks, because our society today is at a crossroads. But I believe now more than ever, progress is being made. Never before have we seen whites and blacks and gays walking down the street in unity. Never before. Recognizing that together with all of our amazing differences, we are not dissimilar. We are humans. And that's what it boils down to. Now more than ever, we must not ask, we must demand diversity, equity, and inclusion. No more back burner talk or backroom conversations. Again, I'm asking for us all to pledge, and I've said it before, and I think I said it on my video, but I believe it more than ever. We will do better, we will be better, and we will join the fight together. I am so proud to join hands with all of the ERGs in the company, and especially with Pride. And I'm so honored, so very honored to be the executive sponsor for BOLD, because it's a chance for us to tell our story and to tell your story and to tell other stories. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tangi Edmondson, the lead of the BOLD group.
Christy, cheers to that.
Can we just pause
Cheers to that.
and reflect on?
Could not have said that better.
Because I've quoted that before. You know, we will do better. We will be better. Let's all make a pledge to that and support one another. Christy, that was very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, is Tangi Edmondson. You know, kind of reflect on where we're at. Tangi is both the leader of BOLD as well as a leader within the Pride group. And I will say, you know, throughout this process, not only have I, you know, made friends within the ally group, I've had a personal connection with Tangi, and someone I respect very much, and a voice that I will stand up for all day long. So Tangi, welcome, and want to hear your voice.
Thank you, Roger. Christy, wow, that was an I don't know how I can really follow that, but I'm gonna try.
You know you can,
Right?
Dawn. We've had some great conversations. You go ahead and follow it.
Yes,
First of all, good afternoon and happy Pride to everyone. As Roger mentioned, I am speaking definitely as a member of the leadership team, Pride and also BOLD. And for you Facebookers who may not know, BOLD is, Christy mentioned, our African American resource group. And to all of you others who have not been a part of this Porch Party planning committee, I swear to you that the message that has come across from everyone was not planned. We did not rehearse this, but the message is the same. I want to say to you, Andy, this story is special for you. I have been employed with Cincinnati Bell. I just went over 22 years in May. And I can tell you that I am that one that for the last 2 years since the ERG started, that I am that one who has been excited, renewed, and fully engaged, you know, at work, which also, you know, trends over to my life, because as much as we try to separate them, life and work seem to somehow always be intertwined. So I am that one, and it is not a cliche when people say bring your whole self to work. This is my life, and I truly believe that when you work at work and the environment around you have a significant impact on your ability or inability to fully show up and be engaged. And I feel like the more willing you are to bring your whole self to work, the more impact you can have on others. So it is true, bringing your whole self. I feel like a different person. As I mentioned before, this is my life. I've been married for 10 years, but it is true that when you come into the workplace, and because I'm a little old school, there are different trends that you try not to follow, because you know in the past you don't want to be identified as that. You just want to be accepted for who you are, but at the same time, a lot of people don't know who you truly are. So I truly credit Lee, Christy, and the entire leadership for having the courage to want to change our environment and to create a more diverse and inclusive atmosphere. I see change. I can remember the day I walked into Cincinnati Bell, and from that day to this day, it has been an amazing transition, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So I want to finally say that, the parade that we had, the Pride Parade we had last year was amazing. Our allies, all of you are the best. But as wonderful as that is, now is when the work needs to begin. There are changes. I see changes, as small as on the onboarding process. We're able to be a part of the panel when new hires come in and kind of, have a conversation with new hires. There's opportunities to increase. There's things that we need to do as intentional things that we need to do to make a change. And I think we're ready for it. And I'm hopeful because I've seen the progress in the small time over these last 2 years. So I know that at the end of the day, we'll be better. So I thank everybody for your time, and let's just continue to do better.
Awesome. I think everybody gives their own on that one. Thank you, Tanji, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully next year when we get to start our stuff down the street. Michelle, I'm going to hand it over to you for Tom and Lee, and let you all be quiet for this.
Yeah, sure. So, Tom, I'm gonna tee up Tom Simpson. So Tom's our COO. Tom, you and I have had lots of conversations. I will say you've been one of our biggest supporters as we started this whole thing. We wanted to do this crazy Post-it note idea. The building, they weren't sure if they wanted us to do this crazy Post-it note idea. You made it happen. You got the roadblocks out of the way. We wanted to light up the building. You wanted to help get the message out. Thank you so much for all the support and everything that you've done. You and I did a podcast last year, and we talked. We had a heart-to-heart conversation about just family, the importance of family, whether you have a gay child or a parent coming out later in life or whatever, and the importance of that and whatnot. I would love to get your thoughts on just kind of where you see where we're at, the importance of having allies around you to help kind of progress change. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm happy to be here, and Lori's happy to be here too.
Hey, Lori.
Hey, it doesn't seem like a year ago. It seems like it's been 30 years at this point because it's been a long year. But and I tell you what. We were both really looking forward to the parade this year, and it's a bummer that it didn't turn out. But this is a good runner-up. Seeing everybody's faces and seeing the support and love. I think ultimately I reflect on the conversation that we had, and our son who really came out to Lori because I think he was uncomfortable talking to me about it. And I said it at the time. It was really no big deal. Love is love. And he's a wonderful and caring kid. And I'm still, when I think about a year ago, and it was a couple years before that he came out to us, and I think about that time, and I think about then when we talked about it and the progress that we've made as a company. And I think about now and the monumental passing by the Supreme Court, of ruling that there should be some basic human rights and equality, right? Equal means equal. It doesn't mean more equal for one person and less equal for another. It's not pie. It means equal. And it's good that we have that, but it's also, it's really apparent that there's a lot more to do. Our son, who's still uncomfortable to this day, we talk about marching in the parade, and he's worried that somebody's going to see him or somebody's going to out him or do something about it. And when he's been emotional and talking about his boyfriend that he had to break up with, unfortunately, because of this pandemic, was a long distance relationship. And he talked about that even in the Midwest, he's thought about trying to find another place to go to because it would be easier for him to live. And that breaks our hearts, right? It's the fact that we have a workplace that helps promote and bring equality is meaningful to me. It's meaningful to us and our personal lives, and I'm happy to promote that. I also just think about the fact that we can continue to promote this now on Facebook Live, for all the world to see is immense. That the leadership team stands up for that we have a whole group of folks that are promoting this, and as everybody's eloquently said, bringing their whole selves to work. That's immense that where we're at now. We just need to continue to fight the fight. I think that there are a number of people that probably feel the same way our son does, and that's just not right. And I mean it. Equal means equal, and that goes across the LGBTQ community. That goes across people of different racial backgrounds. That goes across different creeds. We have to continue to promote equality. That's what this is about. So I'm happy here to help any and all, and I'll tell you what, it's as emotional as I get. It's awesome to see everybody driving in the same direction. And I'll tell you what, last thing I'll say, Michelle, is you're one of the few people at all on earth at work that can get me to talk about my personal life. So, you got that going.
True.
Yes.
She has that effect on people.
Not sure if that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk.
Yeah. No, look, in all seriousness, the work you all have done to promote this is awesome. Keep it up. I'm here for everybody. The leadership team, it's our job to, as Michelle said, blow down barricades. I remember the conversation with the building manager. That was a lot of fun. We'll continue to bulldoze stuff out of the way. That's what we're here for. And where you need barricades knocked down, we'll do it. And where you need things enabled, we'll do it. Here to support everybody.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for that. And Tom, you said something that makes me think. Roger and I talked about this before, just thinking of it's not just about pride, but equality across all. And the reality is the Stonewall riots 50 years ago. Last year was the 50th year anniversary. I mean, that wave of change that happened in our country was because people stood up and protested and said, this is wrong and we need to be able to do this a different way. And it is just it's shocking to me to think of the parallels we're seeing right now in society.
Right.
People standing up and saying, this is not right and we have to change. And Christy said it much more, exactly. Christy said it much more eloquently than me, but I mean, that's what makes a difference when we all stand up and we know what the right thing is to do and it gets heard. And that's when change begins to happen.
Last thing was the rising tide raises all boats, and that's what equality is. We're here to raise everybody, not one person or one group more than another.
Yep. Absolutely. So I think our last speaker is Lee. So Lee, thanks for being here. So it was a joy to meet your kids last year. So we at the parade last year was the first time Cincinnati Bell had been a part of the Pride festivities and the parade, which was fabulous. And it was so great to have so many representation and, over 100 people signed up. But it was also great to have our CEO, Lee, you there, your kids there, get to meet your kids. And I'm just kind of curious how you feel a year later, how it feels different to you to maybe be in that parade with your kids, how just you feel like as a company, how we're doing a year later. What are your hopes for our continued growth in the future, as it relates to just diversity and as an organization in general?
Yeah, well, thanks, Michelle. First off, just want to say thanks for doing this. Thanks for being here. And as all of you have said, it's just so great to see everyone. I've sort of been scanning and looking at pictures because I miss everyone so much. It's just nice to see pictures of everyone. So it's really great to see everyone. I'm going to start with just a really quick story that will, highlight some of the things that have already been said. My wife was driving with my 9-year-old, this past week, and he noticed the rainbow flags, and he said to her, "Hey, are we gonna get to do that parade thing again?" And she said, "No, babe, I'm sorry. Because of the virus, a lot of things have been canceled." And he said, "Oh, okay." And she said, and honestly, this would be the time you would do it because this is Pride Month where we celebrate Pride, and he understands what that is because we've had conversations about him or with him about all of it, and he said, "Oh, okay." Huh. And she said, I dropped the conversation. The next morning, he woke up to go to his little tennis practice, and he was wearing his Pride shirt. Totally unprompted.
Oh, awesome. That's
So,
great.
you want to talk about changing people, right? That's how it starts, right? I'm getting choked up because
Kids.
it starts with our kids, right? And it starts with really changing how they see things. And I'll tell you, the progress that I see in the company, to me, that's what's important. I see the conversations happening. I see the education happening, and that has to continue. I see it more than I did a year ago, but we need to continue it forward. It is not just about one thing. It is not just about one moment. It is about diversity, inclusion, and equality, and we have to continue very tough conversations. We have to continue the conversation. We have to continue to be humble and open ourselves up to really thinking differently. And I see that happening, and that's the big difference that I see in a year. I see a lot more conversations happening, and I'm really proud of it. And I'll just end with this. I think the ultimate here, and I said this to you when you and I talked, and I'm just a firm believer of this, that if you look at whether it's Pride Month or it's Black History Month, if you have to dedicate a month to celebrating something, it's great, but what it means is it's outside the norm, right? I want to get to a point where society, it's not necessary, right? It's great. Today we need to celebrate it because we need to have the conversation. We need to have the dialogue. We need to educate. But the ultimate goal is for it to just be a part of the norm, to have the education be a part of the norm, to have the lifestyle, everything be a part of the norm. Again, many people said it. It's about what's in the heart, right? And that's how we should judge people. And so we've got a long way to go. And I'm just really proud of this group for everything they've done and continue to do. So thanks.
Awesome. Well said, Lee.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much. We appreciate those words. And again, as employee, I think the resonating theme is having allies and the support network and how that helps us rise as individuals. One of my favorite poems is Maya Angelou, "And Still I Rise." And together, we're accomplishing that, and hopefully we're reaching people one at a time through the process and building up photos and the video. I've been reaching out to my personal network, my tribe, and some of the conversations that parents are having around trans youth that are coming out. I can guarantee that the conversation is having impact. So again, cheers!
Yeah. And I want to make a shout out too and just say thank you to everybody that helped pull this thing together. This was a lot of work. I know a lot of people, Brittany, Jonah, the whole Pride leadership team, Felicity, everybody. There was a lot that went into this. Thank you so much for all your efforts. It's so great to have everybody together, as Lee said, to see faces and to be able to celebrate, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like there's a lot to celebrate right now. In our country, but this is great. It's so good to see everybody.
It is. We give a special shout out to Jonah Wilson and Brittany. Thank you so much for all of your support, you guys. You're driving the bus on this, and we couldn't have done it without you. We get to be the speaking heads here, but it's really, you guys should be proud and know that you're making a difference, and this has been an awesome conversation. So we're going to wrap up the live streaming and want to say thank you to all of our Facebook friends, for those that joined on that platform. If you would like to speak with any one of our panelists or speakers, please reach out to us on any one of our platforms. Lucy, I don't know if you want to add any specifics on that, but This will be the point where we'll end the live streaming part. But for everybody else, all the employees, please stay on, go refresh your cocktail. We're going to have a little fun. Some clothes may come on.
And thank you, Roger.
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you, Raj.
You're
You're the best.
Cheers.
You're awesome.